Astrology time, and it is Friday the 17th of July. So let's go. The moon is in Virgo all day long. I love that, right? Got my green shirt rocking it for that, right? This is a no-nonsense moon that's crossing those points that I told you about earlier, right? Radical art is definitely possible as a burst of abundance is brought on by our usage of tech and our own creativity as the moon hits the yod points that Pluto and Neptune have formed at 3 degrees Virgo, right around that point, right? Told you about those points, that whole cradle thing that's going on there, right? Now, look, and it's going to hit that right around 3:44 in the morning, so we're going to feel the effects of that as we're moving on, right? It delivers some tangible results. The moon going there kind of gives us a little tease, because what it's really a preview for is that when the sun is in that position later on in the season, the summer season, right? Because we're going to have that happening. So now let's talk about this, because why is this important? Well, look, people have been talking about a basket, right? A basket of all things. It's supposed to have a handle on a basket, right? What we're really seeing is a cradle, and there's a cradle between 4 planets, and that would be Pluto, that would be Neptune, that would be Uranus, and that would be Jupiter, all in sextiles with each other, and with 2 trines, one trine between Pluto and Uranus, which has been kind of ongoing for the last year, and Jupiter now is going to be trine with Uranus. This is kind of surprising. This is a good one, right? Last year, they were actually conjunct for this stuff, so when we were looking at this, and Saturn was conjunct with Neptune, now we take away the limitations from that, right? We're not limited by that. We have all this outer planet energy that we can go into, right? Now, these are some grand sweeping changes, right? There's some changes that are going to be happening to us this year as we move along, as we take those sextiles that are in those positions, figure out where the yod points are for them, and then as we plot that, we'll see that, Virgo, Scorpio, and to some extent Capricorn are all going to be points where these things are going to be seeing some energies resolving around them, right? We have Jupiter in Cancer, so basically Sagittarius as well, okay? Not so much Capricorn. Capricorn's an opposition point from Jupiter in Cancer. So, look, nothing happens unless we decide to do it. And let me tell you, doing something right now, the moon is going to be like, Mercury retrograde is kind of like, but you know what? Mars is in a sextile with Saturn, and it's building, right? So what we force ourselves to do, what we get ourselves to do, has to be to overcome a challenge. We're overcoming a challenge that we need to overcome to bring ourselves closer to that abundance point and to trigger all of that stuff that's going to open up with those portals as we move forward and we start to change a lot of things about what we're doing. Can we change other things? Yes, we can, but you have to decide to do that. Now, let's talk about this again, okay? So now, the Earth energy at this point, Earth being in Virgo, kind of cancels out the actions and the quirky ideas. So we've got some squares with Mars and Uranus that are going to be hard for us to reconcile, but reconcile them we will. And by taking action, we're going to actually be able to overcome the resistance that we have, right? If you don't feel like doing it and you do it, you're going to gain, right? Let's make it simple. Let's make it like a trip to the gym. Make that trip. Do the exercise. Do what you have to do. Venus is in Virgo, for crying out loud. Look good. Feel better, right? Venus, Virgo is associated with health. Chiron in Taurus, right? Trine Venus. Yes, do that, okay? That's just one example of what you can do. Now, let's talk about this. Now, everyone is clinging to, familiar words. This is something we're trying to do because, look, corporates, our favorite words, there's some corporate speak in there, jargon, right? And very subtle initiatives to try to drive actionable points. There's some jargon for you too, right? Significant, yes. Actionable, the hell is that? We got to make a move. We got to actually get things going. We have to be able to take it and run with it. We're not going to change anything unless we change it ourselves, right? So now, today, is for assembling the data and using our powers of persuasion to attain our goals, right? Get it all in front of you. Persuade somebody. The right attitude, the right clothes, the right how we feel about ourselves, how we carry ourselves. That will carry the argument, and that will be what we need to do to be able to make this first couple of steps. It's going to take a while because the factors that aren't in there's some factors of it that aren't in your control. And that's Mercury retrograde working, right? Now think about this. Side hustles shine later, but only if you act despite the Mercury retrograde. Okay? And it's kind of like headwinds that are facing us. Mars in any air sign is brilliant. Mars is in Gemini, right? So act, dive in, and take a small chance. With Mercury retrograde, it's going to feel difficult, but this will lay the groundwork for another week of rapid growth. So let's go. And today's keyword is real, as in keeping it real, right? And our color is sage. So now, look, I'm beginning to get amused by all the people hyping the extended cradle that they're calling a basket, right? Borbolt's basket or whatever they're calling it, right? I'm seeing that a lot lately, right? Oh, this guy, he said that, the world was going to change for the better because of this outer planetary alignment. If I had $1 for every end of the world story or out of planetary alignment that I've experienced in my entire life, that'd be pretty cool. But now this is really unique because of how everything's planned and everything's shifted finally for this year into the air and fire signs. So this is kind of like a unique one. But think about it. A cradle is a succession of sextiles, right? And if we start with Pluto, we go Neptune, we go Uranus, we go Jupiter. Now, to make that a basket, you need a handle opposite, right? Opposite the middle of it. And I said that was Neptune, and that was Uranus. Between those 2 points is Taurus. Opposite Taurus is Scorpio. And where we're right at the beginning, like about between 1 and 3 degrees, that makes it fall pretty close to election day, right? So now think about it. This is pretty interesting. So when the moon swings around that area, we're going to feel some news around things that we may be looking forward to try to capitalize on, or somebody may try to capitalize on, right? Okay, so now, look, if you were listening to me last year, I told you that the creative grand trine between Pluto and Neptune, and we had Uranus and Jupiter conjunct in that same area, would repeat again the following year because those outer planets are not moving that fast, right? They're generational planets. They enact bigger changes, right? But the underlying creativity that they were indicating showed us that we were in basically a new era for art and expression, right? We're in a new age. Something's going to be defined, and it's going to define this whole next, I'd say, 12 to 13 years that we're in, right? We have 7-year cycles for Uranus. We've got 14-year cycles for Neptune, and we have, God only knows what, 20, 24, whatever the cycle is for Pluto. Didn't look it up, and I'm not really going to cite it off the top of my head. It's a long time for Pluto, right? So think about it. We have that grand trine that I told you about, and it's going to be even more potent due to the fact that all the planets in question moved from earth and water signs into fire and air signs. We had Neptune in the fire sign, and she finally moved last year permanently into Aries. Same thing with Saturn. Saturn had kind of danced back and forth on the Pisces line, put us in that spiritual mode, and now we're ready to move forward and just burn it all down, right? As we start to try to get more out there. So now think about this. So now that it's in the air and fire signs, it's going to be there for years. Why is this initial energy so compelling? Well, because the cosmos is very much like water, and the energies that begin these cycles really hum, and they're going to be energetically remembered by the cosmos. So that way, when we get going, right, as those yod points from those sextiles, as the moon, as the sun progresses, as the planets are still there, those energetic points still remain, and they're going to be triggered by the planets going around as they hit the cycle later on in the year. So The energy between Pluto and Neptune and Pluto is facing our desire to begin creatively and honestly and using societal change as inspiration and as a catalyst. So look, Uranian energy and the retrograde Neptunian energies will provide clarity in the Scorpio season right around election day, right? If we extrapolate the basket shape, that is where the handle of this basket actually falls election day. So now, the moon, as it travels these yod points, you're going to see what energy is actually expressed on these days. So, think about it. Tomorrow, see what's expressed when that moon is is at that point that is between Pluto in Aquarius and Neptune in Aries, right? It's Pisces, but that Pisces energy is opposite, so it actually happens in Virgo. So feel that, see what it's doing, see where that culminates, see what's going to break through tomorrow. What are we breaking through to do? And that's going to be a great indicator for you for what's going to happen later on in this Virgo season. Now, look, now that handle of the basket in Scorpio. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that too. I'm going to do my best to remind you about these points as we hit them, but it's really up to you to understand and experience these from your own level inside, right, intuitively, because that's how we keep with the Cancer season. Mercury retrograde, right? The only concern I have is with the money, okay? Intuitively, we're moving in that right direction, but look, money, big money, not your money, the money that's out there is shady, it's plentiful, and it's working against us in every conceivable way. So whatever you think could be a logical outcome out there, money is conspiring against us, right? Pluto things, setting Pluto right. That revolution's being bought, okay? Pluto is also hidden wealth being bought. So today favors the charismatic organizer. Today we move the needle in our favor, just ever so slightly, and consistently showing up is one way to make some real progress, our keyword. And push your agenda tonight. Don't get lost in the details. Just try to keep things real. Changes are coming, and look around. Look all around if you doubt me. What kind of changes are happening, right? So get this. In 1987, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closes above 2,500. A record in 1987 for the first time. Where's it at now? Around 52,000? Yep, somewhere around there. And our birth this is kind of funny because I didn't really realize this. In 1965, it's Alex Winter. Who's Alex Winter? He's an English actor. And he's best known for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, opposite Keanu Reeves, right? He's born in London, England, back in 1965 on this day. Happy birthday, Alex. And that is all I have for you. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate and love every single one of you. Our color is sage, and our keyword is real, as in keeping it real. Today's the 6th. Happy astrocatting.